Good morning from the Quiltville Post Office in Mouth of Wilson, Virginia. This is Bonnie Hunter trying Quilt-Cam for the first time after a long time. We've had a good long break. There had been internet issues. I'd been traveling a lot. All the excuses in the world came into play. But I have figured out, I hope that we have a strong enough signal to stream live from the Quiltville Post Office. And I see some thumbs up happening. Great, so you're finding me. I know this is an odd time. What time is it? It's almost 10 after 11 here. And I have just a short window of opportunity today. I've got to make some errands, some appointments in nearby Independence, Virginia. I'm dropping the old pedestal sink off at the flea market, and I am picking up a bentwood rocker that my friend Jean had saved for me, thinking it was perfect for, as she worded it, the Quiltvillian veranda. So we will see how that bentwood rocker works, and the pedestal sink can hopefully go live with something else. This is one thing that I love about my area. There is it's an organization put on by the garden club or something. It's called the Free Market, and they're only open a few days a week in certain hours. There's things that they will accept. There's things that they definitely won't accept. They say no furniture. So that's why the bentwood rocker is coming to me. No clothes either. It's all housewares, craft supplies, craft books on how to make things. So a lot of quilting books went there. Baskets, dishes, pots and pans, things that people might find useful if they needed them, and then lots of things that we'd like to get rid of if we have too much of them and we're downsizing. The nicest thing is that it's free. You take something, you leave it. You find something you want, you take it. And it's all being run through a grant. And I think it's a marvelous thing. So all of that fabric that I have that I'm not sure where is going to go, because this year, hopefully this year, is the year that we move the rest of my yardage stash up here to Virginia. We'll be able to take the stuff that is less loved and give it new purpose by donating it to the free market, where maybe somebody making quilts of valor or making quilts for charities or whatever can snag it up. It's also a great place to donate all those batting scraps. They love stuff like that. So anyway, long story short, that's where I'm headed this afternoon, and then I'm meeting up with another friend for lunch. Then I'm going to do some grocery shopping, and then I'll be back here later this afternoon. But by the time I am back, there won't be time to do this. Quilt-Cam is something that I can't do from the cabin. I don't have internet up there at all. We work on a very minimal cell signal, and there's just not enough strength to stream live. And that's been the problem here at the post office too, except a few weeks ago, they found a problem up the road with the connection, and they were able to come out and fix it. So how are we doing? I'm seeing lots of thumbs up. This is not allowing me to click the comments right here. The comments are not showing. If you want to share a project that you're working on, maybe you're working on our current frolic mystery. If you want to send a photo so that I can share it, you can email that to me at quiltcamtime, that's one word, quiltcamtime@gmail.com. You might see some furry purries walking around behind me. You know, we lost our dog Sadie about 6 weeks ago, and that was another reason why Quilt-Cam just couldn't happen without me crying. She was 13, going on 14. She'd be 14 in February, and she gave us every day that she had, but it just has taken a while to get beyond that and moving on. Our son Jeff, who will be 30 next month, I can't believe that, was caring for Jason's cats, and he was staying at our house in North Carolina to care for the cats and to take care of Sadie when I was traveling, and he always promised he would stay until Sadie crossed the Rainbow Bridge. Well, she did that 6 weeks ago. So he's moving on into his life with a new job and a new love interest, and things are looking really good for him, but he can't be tied down to his brother's cats. So guess what? I moved them to the Quiltville Post Office on Monday. So this is day number 3, and so far so good. If you see them walking around behind me, they love the big picture window. I put the blinds down just a little bit to help with the glare, but I can't totally block them out with the blinds because they will want the blinds back up. What am I working on? Oh, you guys. So this was such a last minute thing, deciding to do this and try this, that the project that I'm working on is at the cabin, and I did not want to go 7 miles to pick it up and come back because I wouldn't have time. So remember those tulip blocks I was making back in the spring? I am already longing for spring. I am counting down to that winter solstice in just a few days so that I can start counting on days being lighter longer, because this early dark time is just terrible for me. So if you remember those tulips, tomorrow I'll take a picture of them on the wall and post that on the blog so that you can see. They're very easy to cut out of scrap user system elements or increments. And the pattern is from a past issue of Quiltmaker magazine in my Addicted to Scraps column. So if you click on the Addicted to Scraps column tab at the top of the blog, you can scroll down and see a picture of that block. If you click the link, it will take you to the Quiltmaker page showing you what they did with that block. It won't give you the pattern for the block. That is going to come later for me because I will be including this pattern in an upcoming book, or you can find a back copy of that magazine issue. You will also notice that that tab is not up to date. I don't know how many of you realize, but back in July, Quiltmaker magazine and the quilting company was bought out, yes, once again, by another magazine corporation. And they are in the process of redoing the website. Hooray, because the last redo was just really terrible. You couldn't find anything. But needless to say, the Addicted to Scraps column has not been updated since July. So we're waiting. In the meantime, you can find the ones that are still there, and maybe you'll find a block that you want to make. What I've done here is cut out my parts from my scraps. There are some half square triangles. There's a 4-patch. There's some solid squares, and I had to cut this from memory, and I hope I haven't left anything out. But I only cut myself 3 sets because we only have about 45 minutes before I have to leave. So let's do this. I am sewing on a machine that was gifted to me by my lovely friend, and it's a Singer 201. If you don't know about a 201, it was the Cadillac of permanent full-size big heavy beast machines in the 1950s. I think they go back to the 40s also, but I think this is a 50s model. It's got the striated faceplate. What I love about this machine, it's gear driven. There are no belts. It is very powerful. It will sew through glove leather. It will sew through canvas for boat sails. It will sew through everything, and it's very, very smooth running. One of the things I also did before setting up for today is I took 2 squares. I used 2-inch squares, and I sewed them right sides together and tested my seam guide to make sure that my unit size was correct. If you're following along with this year's mystery, you know that I told you never to measure the seam allowance by itself because it doesn't tell you anything, right? You've heard me say this again and again and again. Sew the seam, press it, and then measure the unit. And then that will tell you if your seam allowance is in the right place or not. So I'm going to start off with these 2 little squares for a 4-patch. And this little machine, she just sews like butter. And it feels so good to be here sewing, let me tell you that. Okay, so we've got that. And then other pieces I've got to chain here. There's a stem section. So I'm going to just sew 1 triangle onto the stem section. I'm going to go as far as this chain will allow me to go before I have to remove stuff. And then I'm going to check my email and see if you have sent something. If you're following along with this year's Frolic Mystery, Part 4 will be ready to go live on Friday morning. If you haven't played along, all of those parts have been linked at the top of my blog under the Frolic Mystery tab. And guess what? I made the executive decision to leave this mystery free until February 14th. Valentine's Day is a very easy day to remember. Our November was short-sheeted. So my clue today, if you're watching today, this may travel a little bit further into January to make up for where we fell short in November. I don't want to give anybody unbelievable clues with 6,000 units to be sewn Christmas week, right? We want to keep this as easy and as peaceful as possible. In past years, I've been traveling early January, so that was why we needed to get it done quickly. This year, I'm home until the 21st of January, so we can spread it out and enjoy the season a little bit more, and that will help keep us happy and content further into the winter until, you know, by the time February comes, I know winter's still hanging on, but it's almost out the door, at least down here in the south. Okay, so I'm going to adjust my stitch length a little bit bigger. It's a little tiny. Okay, that's better. And I'm just sewing some half square triangles here. They were cut in pairs using Scrap User System strips and my Essential Triangle tool. If you're watching out the window behind me, in my other location, I had a lot of fun quilts hanging on the walls, but you're just seeing beautiful downtown Mouth of Wilson traffic going beyond the post office here. So I'm really excited that the feed is working. Okay, so and I've got some plain squares, and here's a couple of, these are leaf. There's green and neutral. Hey, hey, Lola. Okay, I've really missed this. It's just taken till now to be able to do it and to trust that this would work. The hard thing for me is when it wasn't working, when there wasn't enough connection and things were skippy and things were grainy and things were blurry and terrible. I felt like it was my fault, but truth is it's just how rural I live. So I know I've got a lot of emails and messages saying, when can we do a Quilt-Cam? Guess what? We're doing a Quilt-Cam. Okay. So I hope things are warm and wonderful, and if you are heading on into Hanukkah, I hope that you're baking lots of yummy goodies. If you're heading on into Christmas, I hope your presents are wrapped and you're getting things under your tree. And if life has changed for you in the past year and you're finding Christmas hard, know that you're not alone. Okay. All right, I just turned that little 4-patch into a leader and ender, so I'm going to just send that through. And now I've got this little chain to press. But first of all, let's check in to Quilt-Cam time, one word, @gmail.com. Annette says, Shipshawana finish. I took 2 of your classes in Shipshawana in November. I finished 1 quilt and still working on the other. Just wanted to say thanks for all you do and show my finished quilt. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. So she did Narragansett Blues in Christmas colors. That is absolutely beautiful. Sorry about the glare, guys. I'm trying to find a location there. If I turn it that way, maybe it's not so glary. Isn't that beautiful? You can change the colors in any quilt to reflect whatever you want. You don't have to make a Christmas quilt in Christmas colors, and you don't have to make any other quilt in other colors. You can always choose. This turned out absolutely gorgeous. Thank you for sharing that photo. Lucy says, hi from Oxford. So it's later in the afternoon in Oxford, just about dinner time. She says, I'm in Oxford. I finished this quilt, free motion quilting on my domestic Juki. And she's been in love with triangles. I'm going to try to see if I can get this. Come on, open up, view image. Sometimes that's better. Yeah, okay. So here's all of her triangles, and she's been machine quilting it on her home Juki machine. Beautiful, Lucy. Wishing you a happy, happy Christmas with your family. I love that. Do you feel like you want to sew with Christmas colors only during Christmas time? That's me. Maybe towards November, and maybe if there's not much left to finish up, I can finish it up into early January. But working with Christmas fabrics does not happen for me in July. And I don't know how those who have fabric lines and they're taking them to spring market to display at spring market, because you have to order at spring market for your holiday fabrics to show up in time for you to make your samples and things in the shop. So I don't know how they do it. I just don't know how. Colleen says, tulips. I love these sweet blocks and have a stack nearly ready for a top made with several over the weekend with a group of local Bonnie followers. We're in Redding, California. So hi, Redding, California. Good morning. Fabulous. Thank you for sending the picture so that I can share just what I'm also working on. So these are the tulips. You see they've got a little skinny stem and two little green half square triangle leaves. There are two colored half square triangles for the tulip, and then you've got a square for the tulip body. The top is a 4-patch, and there's a couple plain squares. So I think that I've cut it all. There is nothing that says spring to me like tulips. I love tulips. They start coming out in the grocery store, the bulb plants, in January, early February, and they are the hope of spring. So that's why I want to be sewing on these now. Beautiful job. Thank you for sharing those. I knew you guys would pitch in. Here's Ruth, who says, winter survival. Welcome to my world. We used to have a coal furnace, only house on the block. Anytime someone got stuck, they would come by for a bucket of ashes. Coal ashes work best, however. So if somebody has icy, they could put, I guess, coal ashes down to get some traction on the ice and get themselves pulled out. Long email. She says, this has nothing to do with quilting, but I hate the feeling of being shut in. Love sewing with fire warming and watch it snowing outside. Only thing better is a walk during the snowstorm. Have a safe day. We were icy this morning. It was about 24 when I woke up. It's probably about 32 right now. So it's really cold. Yesterday was almost 50. So we've had this cold snap move in. All right. Kathy Mackey says, holidays. Just want to wish you and your family from our house to yours a Merry Christmas and all the very best in 2020. Keep on quilting. Thank you, Kathy. Best Christmas to you also and that lovely hubby of yours. I love their stories of traveling in the RV and coming to Iowa to see me or driving around in one of the many vintage cars that they have. Okay, so this little stem trick, I love this little stem trick. It's just a 1-inch strip, and you cut the square in half and sew the stem inside, sew it back together, and square it up. But guess what I didn't put over here? My ruler and my rotary cutter. So we're going to just kind of set that aside for now. But I've got one triangle on this side and now the stem piece in the center. The trick with these is to line them up and make sure that these 2 points are right down from each other, because if one is shifted off to the side, you're not going to be able to square it to what you need to square it. I also find that when doing this technique, if I keep my seam just a hair scant, it leaves me just a little bit bigger square after sewing the triangles on, so I do have room to square that up and not have the thickness of the fabric make my unit too small. I've lost my foot pedal. There we go. Okay, so we're going to sew this on. And then we've got these. Did you know that you can easily trim dog ears before you press? And sometimes I find that the easiest is to just trim them before I press. Usually right over the trash can, but I'm doing it right here on my mat. It just makes for a nicer press without these little tails that get in the way. So I will trim those dog ears while they are not pressed and then press. I've got my iron right over here. Oh yeah, it's right over here. She's over on Sadie's old bed down here on the floor. Are you talking to me? Hmm? Lola is the chatty one. Dresden's just the big one. Okay. Okay, so since I took the dog ears off first, the squares press very easily, nice and neatly. So you might want to give that a try as well. And before I go any further, I have to grab that rotary cutter. Hang on just a second. I've moved my cutting table to the big picture window, and it's really kind of fun to watch traffic go by. You'll see a tractor, maybe with a load of hay, going quite slowly up the road, and you just know that you're going to count 20 cars behind that tractor and know that they're hating life right now because they're stuck behind, and there's no way to pass. It's all double yellow line, windy roads. So, okay, so I want to take stem guy that is still in here. And where are my leader enders? Here they are. So I kitted up a bunch of our shoe fly leader and ender units, and they can travel back and forth with me in just a little old Tupper style container. They travel back and forth to the cabin depending on what I'm working on. Have you been working on these little shoe fly blocks? We gave you 2 sizes. This is the 4-inch size. There's also a 6-inch size, so you can suit it to your own needs. But we are in December now. We started in January, or we started in, sorry, July. You should have quite a stack by now if you're playing along. If you're not, it's not too late to jump in. You'll find that under the free patterns tab at the top of my blog. And I'm not sure what I'm doing with mine yet. I'm just building stacks. Okay, so we're going to tuck this in here. And then I've got that 4-patch. And I do like to spin the center seam on the 4-patch just because it lays flatter, but just be sure to know what unit it goes next to, because sometimes spinning is not the best thing for a 4-patch. It all depends if it lines up with another seam or not. Okay, so there's that. Now here's this guy. And I've pressed my seams away towards the light side because it lays flatter. If I put these seam allowances in towards the center, I've got a big bump and a ridge, and that kind of makes the unit shrink up a little bit more. So now I'm going to just trim it to size. So 2 corners there. I need a new rotary blade. Dear Santa, send me a 10-pack. I would be a happy girl. Okay. And there we go. And I'm just going to, I should have grabbed a smaller ruler. This is just what was on hand. Okay, so lay these out this way. It's really fun to go through my short scraps and find how I can use stuff up till it's gone. When the whole strip is gone, I am a happy girl. And that means that sometimes I will choose even an ugly strip. The background on this one, can you see that? It's not real pretty. It's got gold shiny things. But if I can use it in a scrap quilt and get it gone, I'm happier. Okay, and we're going to put this guy like this, and then these 2 corners like this, and I can't hold it up to you because it's going to slide right off, but let's see if I can tilt it just a little bit. Can you see? And there goes the slidey. Okay, so we're going to sew this together like a 9-patch, and it'll go in my stockpile of tulip blocks that will become a tulip quilt to bring me into spring 2020, because 2020, I can't wait. I'm ready for this decade to be done. Okay, I'm checking back in on messages. Let's go clear here. Susie says, tulips. Here is my tulip quilt. Thanks for this cute pattern. Everyone I've shown my quilt to loves the block. Oh my gosh, I love how you set this. That's so super cute. So she's put hers on point. Can you see that? She's used blue in the center, and then her setting triangles, instead of being blue, are the red. So it looks like a self-made border right there. Can you see without glare? Yeah, I love that. As I said, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with mine yet. I just want to just make them. And then I know that the idea will come if I just make them. That is beautiful. I had a message from Mary Koval, who says, Quilt-Cam, yay, glad to see you back. Call me this afternoon when you get a chance. We need to pick your quilt classes. So this year, I think, is it July, Mary? Am I with you in July? We're going to have 4 days of workshops in Bedford, Pennsylvania, the best summer vacation that there is. I love going up there, and we always plan a day to take to ourselves and go to Bedford Springs to the spa and get massages and lay in the sun. And that's a very happy thought with this crappy winter weather. Albeit sunny out, it is frigid. So yes, I will call you, Mary. I'll call you this afternoon, okay? Okay, so I'm going to web this block. Webbing is my favorite thing. And we assemble the block in rows, and all of the rows are attached to each other with the chaining threads between the rows, and it keeps me from turning triangles the wrong way. So if you are unsure, if you're new around here and you're unsure about webbing the block, click the Tips and Techniques tab at the top of my blog and scroll down to W for webbing, and you'll find an article on it. And it takes a little bit of thinking to figure out how it goes, but once you figure it out, it just keeps things so nice. So I'm going to keep this in a chain. I've just finished this block, so this goes into my done shoe fly pile. And I'm going to pick another set from the magic box here. Can I do that? So here are 4 triangles, 4 pairs of triangles, 4 rectangles, and a center square. So they're all cut and ready to go. And what I'm going to do here is just all at one time, all in one row. So all 4 of these half square triangles, these little ones, and leave them under the machine. I do it this way because I want to keep these in a set of 4. I don't want any of them to go missing, and believe me, they have. But I just love how this 201 stitches. Thank you so much, Nancy. She's a brute. Okay, so the 4 triangles are going to stay attached. I'm just removing the tulip block. Okay. Now, pressing always is determined by where this quilt is going to end up, where this block's going to end up in the quilt. So if you don't know, this is when I decide to add sashings. It's like, well, shoot, I decided on these layouts and none of the seams are playing nice and I'm really disgusted. Okay, we're going to put in sashing because that'll take care of that matching of seams problem. But generally, I go the path of least resistance. So if I'm pressing towards the solid center square, then the other rows go away from. Okay, so we are attached just like this, and I'm going to, whoops, we're spinning a little bit. I'm going to leave the chaining threads in place. That's going to keep me from turning a row upside down. And now I'm going to pick up the next column and add it too. There's just something really soul-centering about chain piecing. Whoever invented it, thank you, thank you. And this square. That's a really ugly background fabric. It's really ugly. Okay, now I'm going to leave that block there. Take the shoe fly triangles and press them. It's really quiet in here. When there's no traffic, it's quiet in here. Okay. And you know what I forgot to do? Cut the dog ears off first, which I should have done before pressing, but I pressed them in a chain, so we'll just do that really quick. Okay, now that those are ready, we can take the other parts for the leader ender. I'm just going to lay that out up here while I'm working on assembling the tulip block. So the shoe fly block becomes the leader ender for the tulip, and the tulip becomes the leader ender for the shoe fly. And you go as far as you can on these. We can't go any further without removing work from the machine. You throw in the second tulip block to take over. It's kind of like patting your head and rubbing your belly at the same time. It's a little game you play with yourself to keep that piecing as continuous as possible. And there we go. So this is another 9 patch. And I'm just going to sew the column 2 to column number 1 with column 2 on top. This feels like I'm playing hooky in the middle of the day, seriously. It's really good. Okay. And then, so here's our block. Tulip block is webbed. All of the rows are still connected to each other, right? So we're going to determine which way these are going to press. Let's see, so if that's got to go, center one's going in, that means out towards the 4-patch on this side. Just remember, when you decide to set your blocks together, if your seams are not playing nice, that's when you want to add an alternate block, like we just showed you with the blue one, or put in sashing. Okay, so this one's got to go that way. Come on, baby. And no, I'm really not pinning, and I probably should, but I'm not pinning. I nest a seam and then sew to it, and then nest the next seam and sew to it. They kind of interlock. Okay, so here's my leader ender, this block coming off here. So leave the tulip in the machine, but just remove your shoe fly. Okay, little did I know that you were going to be getting shoe fly lessons today. And press towards the center block towards the rectangle, which means the first and third row press away from the triangle. So here we are. We're this far. We're connected by those chaining threads, and now I'm going to add the third column on. Okay. This feels like Quilt-Cam in a rush because I need to leave at noon. But now that I know that this works, if it keeps working, we'll do it more. And I kind of like the middle of the day thing because then it doesn't take up my evening time, and I can't do it at the cabin anyway. So hopefully this will work. All right, so we've got this row sewn. Not too bad on the matching of seams, not too bad. Still the ugly background fabric. But the good thing about that is it's gone. It's the last of it. Okay, and here we are. Now this one is ready to have the 2 long seams sewn. All the rows are completed. The rows are attached in order with the chaining threads in between. So nothing can go awry, nothing can get turned upside down. We're just going to finger press those seams really quick. I do a lot of finger pressing until the block is complete, and then I will iron press. Very rarely will I steam press anything. I just don't think it needs it, and the simple addition of steam can distort fabric, not to mention shrink it. So, all righty, let's look to see who's tuning in. Okay, so we are going to go to, Sherry says, good fortune. I finished my good fortune quilt in time to gift to my dearest Auntie Alta. Unfortunately, she was diagnosed with advanced lung cancer and that metastasized to her brain. We lost her a couple weeks ago, but she was able to love her quilt while she had it. And now my cousin will inherit this lovely quilt. Oh, let's see, there's a picture here. Slow internet, the picture has to open up. Oh, there it is. Oh, that is beautiful. She's really loving that quilt. You know, I think that it's not the amount of time that you possess something. It's the thought that went into gifting it, and it evidently made her very, very happy. And now your cousin will have the memory of how happy it made her. So this is a lovely gift. I'm sorry on the loss of your aunt. She looks like a lovely, wonderful person. It's so hard. The holidays are really hard for so many because we're thinking of those that we lost over the past year, be them siblings, spouses, aunts, uncles, cousins, friends, children. When I dropped off the mail at the Mouth of Wilson Post Office just before doing Quilt-Cam, there was another gal in there talking to the postmaster, and she had lost a child, an adult child, within the past couple of weeks, and was saying that, you know, Christmas is just not happening for her this year. I get it. I understand. So be aware of those who might be struggling, and just be aware. Hugs are the best gift ever. Okay, so we are going to stitch this here. We'll finish this block, and then I think what I'll do is take that phone and see if I can flip over to the comments happening on Facebook and answer some of that, because I can't, the laptop is so far from me, the words are a blur. And Facebook doesn't show, it just shows a number that there's this many comments, but they're not visible. You don't even see them scrolling. So, oh honey, your background fabric is really ugly. It's like the Christmas story where Kevin goes, or the Home Alone story where Kevin goes, Buzz, your girlfriend, woof. Well, woof. Okay. All right. One busy, ugly tulip, done. But in the midst of everything, it will be just fine. It will be a little happy spot in there, reminding me of the day that Quilt-Cam actually worked. We have a family tradition of watching certain Christmas movies on certain days, and that's all going to happen within the next week. This year, it's going to be just me and Dave. Son Jason is in Portland, Oregon. He's working. He can't come. Son Jeff in his new job, he's working Christmas Eve. He's working the day after Christmas, and it's a 100-mile drive on Christmas. I don't think that he'll be coming to see us. We might end up going to Star Wars on Christmas Day, and that's fine with me too. But the other movies that we love to see, Holiday Inn is Christmas Eve. White Christmas is Christmas Day. And somewhere in there will be Home Alone 1 and 2. And then we absolutely need to see The Christmas Story and The Red Ryder BB Gun and You Bupkises, and the turkey goes out the door and we sing Fa-ra-ra-ra. So there's certain things that we love to do. And it's kind of bittersweet this year because it's just the two of us. But the very first time that I saw Holiday Inn, I'd been married about 4 months, and I had never seen that movie before. And it was on TV, and we sat and watched it with my new husband saying, this is my favorite. This is our family tradition. This is our favorite movie. And it's like, how could I never have heard this movie? No, I never heard about this movie. So many of you have heard of White Christmas. If you haven't heard of Holiday Inn, it's a black and white movie, you need to watch it. And if you have any other favorite movies that you just have to watch Christmas week, please put them in the comments below, because I'd love to know. Maybe there'll be some new ones that we can discover. All right. So we're going to check to see who's tuning in here. I'm going to flip right on over to Facebook and see if I can mirror what's going on my laptop here on the screen. And I'm going to pull up. See, do I see what's going on here? I've got to get to posts, I think. Oh, and there it is. Oh my goodness, there's 239 comments. Whoops.
And it was
nope.
on TV. And we sat
nope.
them, all right?
Nope. Okay,
so
that's not working.
See who's tuning in here.
I'm turning the sound off because it's going to play me back. Michelle Stallo says, oh, this is hard. I'm at work and I see a Quilt-Cam surprise. I know what I will be doing tonight. Michelle, enjoy your day at work. It'll be pinned at the top of the blog, or top of the Facebook page for you to enjoy later. Let's see. Michelle Flores says, love Holiday Inn. And Erlene says, Merry Christmas from Oklahoma. That's awesome. Here's Dorothea, who says, we always do a movie on Christmas. Our kids and grandkids come for breakfast, then off to their other side of the family. Hubby and I enjoy time at the movies. You know, for the longest time while our boys were growing up, we did all of that. We started with the Home Alones, and then it went right on into Harry Potter's and the Lord of the Rings and Hobbits and the Star Wars. So this is the last Star Wars. I've never really been a Star Wars fan other than the original ones that came out when I was going into high school, junior high, high school in the 70s. The newer ones, just never really got into it. But since this is the last one, we'll see it and then we'll just wish it quietly good riddance. Okay. Kelly says Bells of St. Mary's we watch on Christmas Eve. That's really a good one. Oh, and Anne says the same thing. The Bishop's Wife, that would be a fun one. And Kelly says definitely recommend the Christmas Chronicles on Netflix with Kurt Russell. And I've not seen that one, so we'll definitely look that up. Babes in Toyland is another favorite. And let's see, this one says, looking on Miracle on 34th Street. Yeah, I think that one plays 24 hours. It just keeps going. Here's another one, The Bishop's Wife with Cary Grant. So we'll have to definitely look up that one. And then Wendy shares that she loves the Albert Finney version of Scrooge. There's a song, thank you very much, thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me, and it's her favorite. So there's lots of things going on there. I want to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas. And I'm looking forward to our release of clue number 4 for our Frolic Mystery that will go live on Friday morning. As I said, if you are new, you can jump in right where you are. You don't have to go back to clue 1 before you can move on to clue 4. So just start where you are, but do print all of those previous clues as they are released, or at least save the PDF file to your computer where you know how to find it. February 14th, that will all go away, and it will become a pattern booklet that will be available in the Quiltville store. Other things that are available in the Quiltville store right now, I'm just going to, shameless plug, stick this out there because things you need to know. Our December pattern of the month, PDF download of the month, is my Hunter's String Star. I show it in red and neutral, so it's a perfect Christmas quilt, but you can make it in any color you want, and the pattern is only $4. It's a digital download. It'll show up in your email. There are 3 files that come with that email. Please read the one that says read me and the other one that says saving a PDF file to your iPad before you download to your iPad, so that you know where to retrieve that file after it's downloaded. Okay, big thing there. We need to know where files go, and iPads just don't tell you, and they don't allow you to choose where they go. The other thing, our Warm Hands, Warm Heart quilt from my recent trip to Germany and Bavaria is now available as a digital download for you, also in the Quiltville store. And I've got the Sulky Stick and Stitch overlay for you to print your image on for doing the center panel embroidery. It's available in the Quiltville store, as well as the Hemmings chenille needle size 24 that you'll need to do the embroidery. What else? Oh, my Quilter's Date Keeper. It retails at $16.95, but through the month of December, I'm letting these fly out the door at $9.99. So you can have a date keeper. It's perpetual. You can start it any year, at any place, at any time. But you can start a new one in January if you want. Maybe you'll want to chart your quilting projects. Maybe you'll want to remember birthdays, anniversaries, special things that happen through the year as we start a new decade. I've been, for the past year, using one as a gratitude journal. And it's really been life-changing for me to find one thing each day that I am grateful for, even on the tough days, and write it down on that spot for that day. And now I can look back and see what happened a year ago, things that I'm grateful for. And I may just start another one as we turn into January 2020. But you can find those in the book section of the Quiltville store for $9.99. And yes, I'm still shipping things out left, right, sideways, and all the time. So guess what? I have to leave in 10 minutes to go to the free market and pick up that rocker and go meet a friend for lunch. So I'm going to end this right here. We got one ugly block done. One. But there's 2 more cut out, so maybe I'll sew these when I get back this afternoon. If you have sewing time today, take advantage of it, because it's only going to get crazier as the week goes on. I'm really glad this worked out. I hope we can do this more often, probably during the daytime, simply because I can't do it at the cabin, and it's better to have it earlier that people can watch later than not at all. This is Bonnie Hunter from the Quiltville Post Office in beautiful downtown Mouth of Wilson, Virginia, saying Merry Christmas, everybody. I'll catch you later. Have a wonderful day.